Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Every Coach Needs a Coach, the podcast for coaches of all sports and all age groups to learn from people and coaches they may otherwise never have a chance to meet. I'm your host, Coach Kelly, and welcome to another See One, Do One, Teach One. Today, I want to talk about one of my favorite books of all time. It's called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. I read this book probably the first time when I was 11 or 12 years old. It was laying around my parents' house. I found it sitting near the couch one day, and I picked it up and I started to read it, and it absolutely has influenced the way that I handle people, the friendships that I've made over the years, the relationships I have with my husband, with my family, with my patients, with my coworkers and colleagues and friends. It's a tremendous resource. It's a book full of, I wouldn't call them secrets, but for lack of a better word, it's a book of secrets on how to deal with people and how to improve your relationships, improve the way you communicate with them. And there's a story that, the beautiful thing about it is it's told mostly in stories of how people have used these strategies to improve their own lives, improve their communities, and really give back to the world. And chapter 3 is what I want to talk about. This is the story, when I tell people about this book, this is my go-to story. So in chapter 3, it's titled, "He Can Do This, Has the Whole World With Him. He Who Cannot Walks a Lonely Way." And the first line of it is, "I often went fishing up in Maine during the summer. Personally, I'm very fond of strawberries and cream, but I have found that for some strange reason, fish prefer worms. So when I went fishing, I didn't think about what I wanted. I thought about what they wanted. I didn't bait the hook with strawberries and cream. Rather, I dangled a worm or a grasshopper in front of the fish and said, 'Wouldn't you like to have that?' Why not use the same common sense when fishing for people?" Let that sink in, right? If people don't want strawberries and cream, but you do, why are you going to put strawberries and cream on your hook, right? Put out what they want and help them get what they want. To speak to that, this is my favorite story from this book. And it's a letter. He says, here's an example, right? Look at the letters that come across your desk tomorrow morning, and you'll find that most of them violate the most important canon of common sense. Take this one, written by the head of a radio department of an advertising agency with offices scattered across the continent. This letter was sent to the managers of local radio stations throughout the country. Okay? This is gold. "Dear Mr. Blank, the Blank Company desires to retain its position in advertising agency leadership in the radio field." Then he puts in brackets what the reader is thinking, right? So the reader's thinking this: who cares about what your company desires? I'm worried about my own problems. The bank is foreclosing my mortgage on my house. The bugs are destroying the hollyhocks. The stock market tumbled yesterday. I missed the 8:15 this morning. I wasn't invited to the Joneses dance last night. And the doctor tells me I have high blood pressure and neuritis and dandruff. And then what happens? I come down to the office this morning worried, open my mail, and here's some little whippersnapper off in New York yapping about what his company wants. Bah! If he only realized what sort of impression his letter makes, he would get up out of the advertising business and start manufacturing sheep dip." Then again, an excerpt from the letter. "This agency's national advertising accounts were the bulwark of the network. Our subsequent clearances of station time have kept us at the top of agencies year after year." Then this is what the manager thinks. "You are big and rich and right at the top, aren't you? So what? I don't give two whoops in Hades if you are as big as General Motors and the General Electric and the General Staff of the U.S. Army all combined. If you had as much sense as a half-witted hummingbird, you would realize that I am interested in how big I am, not how big you are. All this talk about your enormous success makes me feel small and unimportant." I'll skip, there's another little body of the letter, and I'm going to skip that part because we already got the most important part, right? But then at the bottom, there's a postscript, and it says, "The enclosed reprint from the Blankville Journal will be of interest to you, and you may want to broadcast it over your station." And the manager's thoughts are, "Finally, down here in the postscript, you mentioned something that may help me solve one of my problems. Why didn't you begin with this? What's the use? Any advertising man who's guilty of perpetrating such drivel as you have sent me has something wrong with his medulla oblongata. You don't need a letter giving out the latest doings. What you need is a quart of iodine in your thyroid gland." That's gold. Oh my gosh. Think about that as a principle, right? Of leading with what they want versus leading with all this stuff that makes you feel good about yourself. right? That advertising agency's letter is the perfect example of how we go about our lives. I'm so great. I can do all this for you. You should pay me to do that. No, trash it. Gone. You're so great. Look at what you do for the people around you. How can I help you help them more? That's the attitude to take. And my husband is in retail and he deals with disheveled customers a couple times a week. And I shared with him that letter and I made him think about the hollyhocks. Okay, he mentions in there, right? The bugs are eating the hollyhocks. I have high blood pressure and dandruff, and the Jones didn't invite me to their party, and I was late for the bus this morning, and the hollyhocks are being eaten by these bugs, right? So when a customer walks into my husband's store, we don't know what's going on with their hollyhocks. We don't know if they have high blood pressure. We don't know anything about their story. So if they come in all disheveled and all frustrated that my pump doesn't work, my filter doesn't work, or I get a patient and their back is flared up and they're either upset with me or upset with something about their health, I take a step back and I think they're hollyhocks, right? What is going on in their life that they're upset about, right? That they're bringing to me, right? It's a part of them that they're bringing to me that maybe I should consider before I either judge them, right? Which I try not to do, right? Before I judge them, let me think about their hollyhocks. Are they being eaten by bugs? Do they have high blood pressure? Did they get in a fight with their husband or wife this morning? Is their kid falling behind in school? What could be going on in their life that could be making them stressed or behave the way they're behaving? And can I see it from their perspective? And then, can I help them get what they want? Not can they help me get what I want? Can I help them get what they want in a productive way? And I think if everybody heard that story, right? Go get the book, go read the full letter. I just highlighted it. I give this book to, 3 or 4 people a year. Page 35, right, is where the letter starts. Brilliant. Think about their hollyhocks. What is going on in their lives that might be on their mind when they start an interaction with you? If you think about it that way, and it's funny because now I can just say to Nick, honey, the hollyhocks. And he laughs and he's like, oh, right. Like they might be going through something that I don't know about. And it helps us to put it into perspective of seeing something from somebody else's point of view. Guys, that's all I got for you today. Remember the other person's hollyhocks, okay? Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. I appreciate you. Keep getting better every day.